Everyone told you to stop. Your partner said it first, then your parents. The moment your first child was born, the world issued a quiet verdict about your motorcycle, that it was over, that responsibility had arrived, that the bike had to go, and you kept riding anyway. That decision, that specific refusal, says more about your psychology than almost anything else about you. And the people judging you for it, and even you yourself, have never fully understood why. This isn't about selfishness, this isn't about immaturity, and it's definitely not about not loving your kids enough. This is about something far more specific, far more invisible, and far more human than any of those explanations give you credit for. People who keep riding after starting a family aren't irresponsible. They're protecting something that the people around them can't see. And the psychology of what they're protecting is worth understanding completely. Here's where it starts. The moment you become a parent, something strange happens to your identity. Not gradually, immediately. Overnight, every version of yourself that existed before, the person with instincts and edges and a specific way of moving through the world, gets reclassified as secondary, as selfish, as something to be managed. Psychologists who study adult identity development call this role engulfment, where one identity, parent, expands so completely that it begins consuming the others, the professional, the friend, the person who once did things purely because they felt alive doing them. Research on parental identity shows something striking about men specifically. Studies find that fathers are significantly more likely than mothers to enter what researchers call stable foreclosure, adopting a parental identity without ever truly integrating it with who they were before. They don't evolve into fathers, they disappear into it. The motorcycle is the one thing that doesn't let that disappearance be complete. There's a man named Marcus, 34 years old, from Austin, Texas. He works in logistics management, the kind of job where every hour is accounted for, every decision has a downstream consequence, and the reward for solving one problem is being handed 3 more. He started at 22. He became a father at 31. For 8 months after his daughter was born, he didn't touch the bike. He describes that period as a slow disappearance, not of time, he'd expected to lose that, but of signal, of the feeling that he was a person with a body, living inside a physical world, with instincts that were specifically his. He said everything felt like it was happening slightly behind glass. The morning he finally rode again, a 25-mile loop before his family woke up, he pulled over on an empty road and sat with the engine off for a while. Not because something went wrong, because something came back. That experience has a name in neuroscience. A UCLA study measuring brain activity and hormone levels in riders found that just 20 minutes on a motorcycle reduces cortisol, the primary stress hormone, by 28%. Heart rate rises, adrenaline increases. The neurological signature is indistinguishable from meditation combined with light exercise. But there's something the study couldn't fully measure, the restoration of a self that had quietly gone missing. Marcus still rides every Sunday morning. He says his family gets a better version of him for the rest of the week because of it. Now think about what riding actually demands of a person. Not the risk, the attention. A motorcycle will not allow you to be anywhere other than exactly where you are. Every shift in road texture, every vehicle in your peripheral vision, every micro-adjustment of your body weight, all of it processed simultaneously, all of it mattering completely. Psychologists call this a flow state, the condition in which a person is so completely absorbed in an activity that time distorts, self-consciousness dissolves, and the mind stops producing the background noise of worry that most people carry constantly. Here's what nobody talks about. For parents who live inside a permanent cognitive fog of responsibilities, schedules, and low-grade anxiety about small humans, genuine flow states become almost biologically impossible to access through ordinary means. The motorcycle forces one. It doesn't ask, it doesn't negotiate. The road simply will not let you think about your mortgage or your child's school forms or the version of yourself you've been performing for everyone around you. For 45 minutes, there is only the next curve, and in that enforced presence, something that had been wound impossibly tight finally releases. Research consistently shows that riders with families actually ride safer, not more recklessly, than childless riders. A 2025 study of over 800 motorcyclists found that riders with children demonstrated measurably lower risk behaviors and higher protective equipment use. Their family attachment doesn't create recklessness, it creates stakes, and stakes create care. But let's be honest about something. Not every rider who keeps going after having children is doing it from a place of psychological health. For some, the motorcycle becomes something darker. The adrenaline becomes regulation, a way to manage feelings of entrapment, identity loss, or resentment that parenthood can quietly generate and that almost no one admits to feeling. Psychologists call this using high-arousal external experiences to suppress unprocessed internal states. The risk stops being an acceptable cost and starts being the point. The ride stops being restoration and starts being escape from a life that no longer feels chosen. The difference between the two is real, and it's worth sitting with honestly if you ride. One builds you back, the other just postpones the reckoning. The healthiest riders seem to know the difference without needing it explained. The bike sharpens them. It doesn't substitute for the life they're supposed to be living. There's a woman named Dana, 41 years old, from Portland, Oregon. She started riding after her second child turned 3, not to reclaim something she'd lost. She'd never ridden before. She started because she realized one day that she could not remember the last time she had done anything that was only for her, not functional, not useful, not in service of someone else's need. Her husband thought she was having a crisis. Her mother thought it was irresponsible. Her friends said nothing, which was somehow worse. Her first solo ride was 25 miles on a Sunday afternoon. She came back and sat in the driveway for 10 minutes before going inside. Something had reorganized. She couldn't explain it yet, but she felt the edges of herself again, the parts that years of accommodation had slowly sanded away. Dana says the bike gave her back her own name, not her role, her actual name. That experience connects directly to what psychologists call self-concept clarity, the degree to which a person holds a stable, internally consistent sense of who they are outside their obligations. Research consistently shows that people with higher self-concept clarity handle stress more effectively, parent with more emotional availability, and report significantly higher life satisfaction. The irony that society never examines, the parent who keeps one thing that is entirely their own may be more emotionally present for their family, not less, because of it. And then there are the warnings, the ones that started this conversation. The people who issue them aren't wrong about the risk. Motorcycles are statistically more dangerous than cars. The fear is real. The love behind it is often real too. But what every warning misses is the cost of the alternative, the psychological cost of a parent who has erased every version of themselves that existed before the children arrived, who has optimized so completely for safety and availability that they have forgotten what it feels like to be a person with something that is specifically, irreducibly theirs. A suppressed identity doesn't disappear, it metabolizes into resentment, into distance, into the particular sadness of someone who is physically present but psychologically somewhere else entirely. You didn't keep riding because you stopped caring. You kept riding because you understood something the warnings never accounted for, that the best version of you, for your partner, for your children, for the life you're actually trying to build, requires that one version of you never fully disappears. Every time you gear up before the rest of the house is awake, you're not escaping your family. You're making sure you have something to come home to them as, not a role, a person. If this video made you feel seen, drop a comment below. Tell us, what's the one thing you refused to give up after having kids, and what did it give back to you? We actually want to know.